So today on Screenshots, we're going to take a very interesting look at one of the most controversial Oscar moments of all time. Now, many years ago, long after this incident we'll talk about happened, Kids in the Hall had a skit about a woman played by Dave Foley, who's at an award show, and she's thanking everybody, and she's thanking all different kinds of people, and she ends up thanking Hitler. Well, someone asked me at work, oh, that was a very funny skit, and I said, I hate to tell you, what that's kind of based on is not something very funny. When Vanessa Redgrave was nominated for the 1977 Best Supporting Actress role she played in Julia, which talked about a woman who was murdered by the Nazi regime in the years prior to World War II for anti-fascist activism, co-star with Jane Fonda. Previous to that, I think in early '77, she funded and narrated a documentary film called The Palestinian about the situation of the Palestinians in the activities of the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization. And she kind of came out on the side of the PLO, or allegedly in the documentary. Now, when she was nominated, the Jewish Defense League, led by Rebbe Ma Kahan, eventually protested the nomination, and the day of the ceremonies, they picked the Academy Awards and burned her in effigy, again to protest against her involvement in the Palestinian. Now, Redgrave's performance in Julia was quite effective, which led to her winning the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. But when she accepted the award, she thanked Hollywood, and she started preaching on the pulpit, as we say, and in a literal quote, she said she wanted to thank Hollywood for refusing to be intimidated by the threats of a small bunch of Zionist hoodlums whose behavior is an insult to the stature of Jews all over the world and their great and heroic record of struggle against fascism and oppression. Now, I don't know if it was off the top of her head. I don't know if it was basically in her head, or she just, posturing, because Vanessa she's always been a politically active and politically dangerous person. And her remarks drew outrage at the show. She was booed and kind of catcalled off stage. And Patty Chayefsky, with the Academy Award presenter, didn't like what she had to say, and one Redgrave biographer said, maybe the scandal of her awards speech and the bad press had a bad effect on her career, and I really don't think so. Vanessa Redgrave has been a consistent, performer through the years. She did Playing for Time, which talked about the Nazi, some Jews that survived the Nazi regime by, literally playing for time in the camps, playing music and stuff like that. She's always been a controversial person, not scared to say her mind, be it the war on terrorism or basically how governments are two-faced when it comes to international human rights. She is not what you call someone that is looked upon as part of the great British acting movement. If anything, she's of her own category. No one compares Vanessa Redgrave to Meryl Streep or, Dame Judi Dench and all that. She's in a category by herself. Now, the Redgrave Richardson extended family, as you know, she's had children with the Richardson, the great director and creator. The children have gone on to great success, including Natasha Richardson. She was a dynamite actress before her passing in an accidental ski accident a few years ago. Vanessa shows up here and there on several projects, but her political activism. Glenda Jackson is the only comparable actress, but Glenda ran for political office, while Vanessa has worked her own way of trying to pass on what she believes in, and for that she has my respect. I don't think you can make a speech at the Oscars that's not going to be analyzed. If I won an Oscar, I would thank people in Acadian French. I know the Quebec media would freak out because I'm speaking Acadian French is always controversy. Now, did Vanessa have to make that speech? I can't speak for her. She felt she needed to make it. But when you do something like that, you're either saying to Hollywood, screw you, or basically, I don't need you. She's always been a strong individual. So Vanessa, that was one of the weirdest Oscar moments I can remember. I didn't see it live. I didn't have a chance because that year, actually, my mother told me I couldn't watch the Oscars I don't know why. Maybe she knew Vanessa Redgrave was going to make history, but I've never seen a speech like that has influenced other people either to speak like that or not speak like that. And we have the classic Kids in the Hall skit, "You thanked Hitler." Even though she didn't thank Hitler, in a way she basically said, you know, hey, I take up for the PLO, but I also take up for the Jews, which is kind of a bizarre double, as we say. So on this fine Wednesday evening, on this great night where it's everybody is adjusting in the Maritimes to not having a cold in the Midwest, we wish you a good night. As like we say in hockey games throughout the province, keep your stick in the ice. Have a good one. Bye.